What is up? Welcome back to the MLB DFS Slate Breakdown for Friday, August 9th. Fortunately, this actually might be my last breakdown for about a week and a half or so. I will be out of town next week. I'm going to try and do a couple a little bit, but I am going to be on vacation, and it might be a little bit hard for me to get them done. I will try here and there, but I just can't promise anything. Now, we got Victory Lap Friday to talk about, so we're going to go over the winning lineups yesterday, the perfect lineups from yesterday. Then we will get into the pitchers to consider today and stacks to consider. Now, yesterday we had a great day, and it's all more reason to come join us at LineStar. We had people winning $14K in parlays. I took down a Fanduel tournament. And we had a bunch of top 10s or top 5s across LineStar yesterday, so it was a good day. Come join us. $39.99 per month. It is the start of the best DFS season of the year. We have football coming in September. Basketball's in October. Come get in right now. Join us, and let's have some fun. And let's get into the show. Starting over on FanDuel, as we always do, we got the perfect lineup with Tyler Anderson. I talked about him for a minute as, he had been pitching extremely well. I just can't believe what he actually did yesterday versus the Yankees, going 6 innings, 1 earned run, 7 Ks. Absolutely crushed, but he was super low owned, so you didn't have to have him to win a contest. Now we had Angels with a 2-man stack. We had just one-offs after that. 3,300 or 33,000 was the total salary, 294.4. And then the winning lineup went to yours truly with 229.6, 110K. Congrats to me. And we had a 4-man Philly stack, 2-man Arizona, and then I had a one-off with Vlad and Brandon Lau. Yesterday, I really wanted to get a couple more one-offs, so I have been playing mainly 4-3-1s, and yesterday switched it to a 4-2-1-1 type scenario, where I knew I could get some 4-3s, some 4-2-1-1 type situations, and this lineup just came together. Brian Wu hit for me. He did just enough. Unfortunately, he didn't get the win, but he did get a quality start, going 6.2 and 7 strikeouts. So it was good enough, and I'll take it. I got the dub, and now let's move it into DraftKings. So we had Kobe Allard and Tyler Anderson as the pitchers, and then all one-offs from there on out. So pretty wild slate with the winning lineups going to Mounts Ornabi and Lucky Lazy 68. Both of them tied at 174.5. And they had different lineups, so they didn't even dupe. It just happened to be that they tied. So the lineup for Ornabi, we got a 3-man Arizona stack and all one-offs with Gibson and Brian Wu. For Lucky Lazy, Brian Wu, Tyler Anderson. Anderson only 4% owned. Then they had a 4-man Toronto stack, 2-man Baltimore with Brandon Lowe and Luke Raley in there. So congrats to them. Nice that you guys both won 30K and shared in the winnings. Now, let's get into today's slate. So we already have one postponement. I think the rest of the games are pretty much safe. There are a couple, scattered shower situations, so we need to watch as we get a little closer to lock. This Colorado game is one of them. It's been like that for a solid week and a half or week or so, and the games keep playing, so I'd expect the same here. Another one is also Houston and Boston. There's a ton of rain around. Now, I expect the game to play, but there is the chance of some delays throughout the game, so we got to worry about that one. The wind is just whipping out on this game too, and we know when that happens at Fenway, the ball flies a little bit. All right, so highest owned pitchers, we got Jack Flaherty, 20% owned. And he's in a great spot versus the Pirates. The one thing I have to say is the Pirates did just get swept by the Padres. Shout out to my Padres who are absolutely crushing right now. But they were actually hitting the ball pretty well. Padres were just able to come back late and keep winning games. So while Flaherty is an unbelievable pitcher and has huge upside, we are facing a Pirates team that over the last 20 games has 283 average, 146 ISO, 334 WOBA. They've been putting runs up. O'Neal Cruz has been hot. And I love Flaherty. I think he's in a great spot. He has huge upside. I do like him today, but I do have a little bit of worry also. This Dodgers team has just not been totally clicking lately. And the bullpen's been giving it up. Now, I think Flaherty is a great play, but that is my one warning as far as playing the chalk pitcher is Pirates have been hitting. Now we got Robbie Ray, 8,600, so $2K cheaper. He has huge upside. He's been very good in 2 of 3 starts. They've let him get in around 90 pitches, and he has a good matchup versus the Tigers. He's at home. I think it's a good spot. I really like Robbie Ray in this spot for 1.9K cheaper than Flaherty. Next, we got Jose Barrios versus Oakland. Now, Oakland obviously has been a pretty solid lineup lately. Not, excellent, but they've had games where they really crush. They also have games where they totally disappear. And Barrios is averaging 42% more fantasy points at home. So I think he is a little interesting. However, being a high-owned guy and how inconsistent he's been for this season, it's hard for me to really want to have a ton of him on this slate, but there's also not a ton of pitchers I really want in this slate, so I'm slightly interested. Next, we got Zach Wheeler, 9,200. Now, we know Wheeler's great. He is one of the best pitchers in the game, but he's facing a Diamondbacks team that's hitting very well and frankly crushing righties. 283 average, 309 ISO, 396 WOBA over the last 20 games. It's not a spot that I really want to pick on right now. Diamondbacks are hot with the Padres. Those two teams are probably the 2 hottest teams in the entire league. So I don't really love trying to face Zach Wheeler in this spot, but he is a very good pitcher and he can shut down anybody. So I am a little bit intrigued by going there. I do think his ownership we're showing is probably a little higher than it should be, but hey, I don't mind it. Garrett Crochet, what do we want to say about him? I am totally off of it. I cannot go there. He has had 4 starts in a row of less than 80 pitches, most in the mid-70s. He's versus a Cubs team here. He hasn't gone past, 4 innings for 4 starts now, 5 starts now. And I just have a hard time going there. I think they have an innings cap on him. I think he's going to cap out at 4 again. And with him not being traded, the White Sox have literally no reason to throw him out there for too many innings. So I'm off. I am canceling him out. He is not in my player pool. Aaron Savali, 6,300. Price is right. He hasn't been a very good pitcher, though. And Cincinnati is decent versus righties. 197 WOBA, ISO, 332 WOBA. Only strikeout at 22%. I'm not really loving Savali. Can he get there? Yes. Am I betting on it? Nah, probably not. Martin Perez, 6,200 versus the Miami Marlins. So there's a couple things here. One, Perez does have a ceiling. When he gets it going, he can work late in or deeper into games, get 5-6 Ks, and at 6,200, that's really all you need. The other thing is the Marlins are terrible versus lefties, striking out 26%, 133 ISO, 286 WOBA over the last 22 games. And with the new pitching coach in San Diego, I'm intrigued with Martin Perez. We have seen, throughout the years, he can put it together for a little bit of stretches. He just had a really good start. He is so cheap that I'm a little bit intrigued. Now, this is a very scary one because he can also get absolutely lit up. So I do not mind stacking against him a little bit also. But as a value SP2 on DraftKings, I am slightly intrigued to go there. Next, we got Bryce Miller versus the Mets. Mets have been hitting really well. Their last 20 splits look great. Their, longer term splits look good. Bryce Miller is averaging 81% more fantasy points at home. So this is another spot where I don't mind getting a little bit of Mets, but with Bryce Miller at home, I am absolutely intrigued. Most of his big blow-up games have been at home. However, also have been against lesser competition mostly. Milwaukee and Atlanta, but this is when Atlanta wasn't hitting very well, are the two teams that he's had a big ceiling versus that were decent offenses. All the other ceiling games have been against kind of more poor offenses. So I do like Miller, but I am a little hesitant to have too much of him. But he's in the player pool. I wouldn't be taking him out. Tanner Houck at home versus Houston. There's rain all over the place. High chance of delay. Winds just huffing, blowing out. So I'm out on both Houston pitchers. Next, we got Jameson Taillon versus the White Sox. Look, you play pitchers versus the White Sox, so he's absolutely in my pool. White Sox been awful, and Taillon has had a couple nice games lately, so I'm a little bit intrigued. White Sox strike out a lot, low WOBA, low ISO. Taillon averaging 48% less fantasy points away, but hey, at least in this spot, they're still in the same city. Jose Quintana versus the Mariners. Mariners strike out a lot versus lefties. They're not great versus lefties. Quintana's averaging 27% less away. He is cheap enough where I'm a little bit intrigued, but the upside worries me. Might have a little bit, won't have very much, but at 24.4% combined K rate, 7.5K, I think you got to consider him a little bit. Mick Spence versus Toronto. Toronto's been hitting really well lately. Spence isn't great. I'm out. Mitch Keller is the last one I really want to talk about here. So Mitch Keller, he's 9K. He's versus the Dodgers. Dodgers offense hasn't been fully clicking. This is a spot that I like both sides of it. We've seen Keller go, get lit up a little bit. He's had several games, 5, 6 runs, 4 runs, 3 runs, 4 runs, and then you get to the bullpen, you can add a couple more. So can the Dodgers do that? Absolutely. But we've also seen Keller have very high highs. 6 innings, 8 Ks, 0 earned runs versus Minnesota. 6 innings, 8 Ks, 1 earned run versus Toronto. Angels crushed, Milwaukee crushed, Detroit crushed, Cincinnati's crushed, Mets he's crushed. Most of those are all at home, so it might be a little bit harder for him to do it at Dodger Stadium, but I'm intrigued. Keller has the stuff to get it done, so at super low ownership, having 1 or 2 of him, I'm fine with, but definitely not going to go overboard with that. Let's go over to FanDuel, check out the ownership for pitchers. And on to FanDuel. So Jack Flaherty is the highest owned, as he should be, 31%. Then we got Zach Wheeler at 11%, Robbie Ray at 11%. Flaherty, our highest projected by a solid margin. Consensus highest projected by a solid margin. When any pitcher is projected 5 points higher than anybody else, I'm not going to say fade that guy. I think he should be the highest owned in this spot. He is in a good spot. Pittsburgh offense is meh, even though they've been hitting decently lately. So I'm definitely going to be playing some Flaherty. there's plenty of ways to get different today. Next, we got Zach Wheeler, 11%. Very intrigued. I think he is the obvious pivot off Flaherty, but I do prefer Robbie Ray over Zach Wheeler. And on LineStar, we have him actually projected more. His consensus projections super similar. Alert score is better. Ownership's very similar. So I go Flaherty, Ray, then Wheeler probably. I'm going to play all three of them a decent amount. Pivot-wise, little interest in Miller, little interest in Barrios, little interest in Jameson Taillon, and probably not really putting in much Keller or Perez on FanDuel. Those are my main interests. Now let's check out DraftKings for some stack attacks. All right, let's go. One of these days, it's going to pop up here. All right, so we will head to our highest owned right away, which it's got to be some sort of Colorado, huh? Now I know if I click it, it's just, there we go. All right, St. Louis coming in highest owned versus the Royals. Michael Lorenzen is pitching. He's been meh. Bullpen behind them is just kind of okay. They can be decent on the back end. St. Louis is at least hitting well, but them being the highest projected is wild. I don't love it. Highest owned, not projected. Atlanta's popping up. 38%, I'm all on board. I think people might be a little bit worried about that just because Atlanta hasn't been hitting great, although they've been showing some signs. It is in Colorado, and Tanner Gordon had a great start last time out, but I just don't expect that to continue. Boston versus Houston. Hitting weather in Fenway is absolutely great. I think they should be higher owned. Dodgers, there's some nice action versus Keller. Keller can give it up. Now let's go to our highest projected stacks. And we got Atlanta all over it. And I think Atlanta should be. I also would say that Colorado needs to be up there as well. Boston is there. And those are definitely the most intriguing ones. Anytime there's a Colorado slate, it is a little intriguing. However, I do have to say, this is a little bit different of a Colorado slate. Their game total is 10.5, and Boston and Astros is 10. So there's not a huge difference. It's going to spread ownership. These are the type of games, if you want to play Coors, you absolutely can, because ownership's not going to get wild. It's a big slate. We got 12 games. And there's other spots that are very, very intriguing. Detroit's popping up against Robbie Ray. I think it makes sense. Robbie Ray has shown that he can get hit a little bit. His FIP hasn't been great. But, you know, we have 4 games over the last 2 years that FIP is on. And I can't really trust that number. But 2 of the 3 games, he's looked very, very good. Now, he is a little bit inconsistent, and the Tigers have been hitting well, so there is some leverage going in with some Tiger stacks there. Now, let's look at the ceiling. White Sox are popping up against Jameson Taillon a little bit, too. I missed that one. White Sox. Offense is just terrible. Hard for me to really want to go there. All right, so ceiling. Arizona popping up against Zach Wheeler. That's very, very interesting. Now they've been hitting very well, so it makes some sense to want to go there. Boston, not sure who Houston's throwing out there yet, but they are a bit intriguing as well. And now let's click the team so we can go over the implied totals. So Atlanta, 5.7 implied total. Boston, 5.3. Not a huge difference there. I like either ones. Yankees at 5 versus Cody Bradford makes a ton of sense. Bradford, a lot of hard contact, high average exit velocity. Texas bullpen isn't great. Makes a lot of sense to want to go there. Toronto versus Mitch Spence. You could also do that. I like it. Spence, 6.01 FIP over his last 5 starts. Toronto's been hitting well, especially Vladdy. Colorado versus Grant Holmes. Grant Holmes is only going around 70 pitches. He has looked very, very good, but you're going to get into the bullpen a little bit earlier with Grant Holmes. He is still a young prospect. If he gives it up, maybe you get, 6-7 innings with the bullpen, and who knows what can happen at that point, especially in Colorado. KC versus Mikolas, 4.8 implied total. I'm fine going there. Don't absolutely love it, but it's not bad. Houston is hitting very well, and Tanner Huck has a 5.22 FIP over his last 5. That bullpen has dropped off a little bit as well, so definitely intrigued with nice hitting weather to go there. Cubs, you're going to get a lot of the bullpen, and White Sox bullpen is straight garbage. Cleveland versus Minnesota. Cleveland, they are in a 5-game skid now, so with my bet with Clee Kid, I hope that keeps happening, but I don't mind that offense. It's sneaky good and just keeps getting done. Minnesota bullpen's meh. After that, it's pretty much leverage spots. I think San Diego's interesting. Their offense just keeps getting it done. Edward Cabrera, frankly, hasn't been great. So I think 4.6 is probably a little low for that Padres offense lately with how they've been hitting. Also, it just goes to show you how widespread ownership is going to be. We got 4.6 all the way down here, and it's 0.7 runs lower than the second team. And they're all the way down at, middle of the pack area. So there are so many ways to get different on this slate. If you want to play Flaherty, the chalky pitcher, do it because you will be able to get different. Dodgers, 4.3. Giants, meh. Pretty much everyone down here, it's more of a leverage spot that you're going at. I am a little bit intrigued with St. Louis because KC bullpen's not very good. OKC versus Toronto. Barrios hasn't, or Oakland, OKC. I'm already in basketball mode. Jose Barrios hasn't been good lately, and that bullpen behind him is awful. So Oakland is a little interesting, going at low ownership. So many different ways to go on this slate. Let's win some money. Let's get another takedown. Good luck, guys. And I will see you probably a day or two next week, but I will be on vacation, so it'll be a little hard to get some of these shows out. Have a good one. Peace.